So welcome everyone. Delighted you're here. I'm going to begin, even though I imagine people will continue arriving. But I want to honor people to get here on time and have our full time. So, how many of you would consider yourself an empath or a highly sensitive person? Yeah. Both hands. And how many of you feel like you take on other people's feelings without meaning to? And how many of you feel this is a wonderful thing? Sometimes. And how many feel it's really challenging?
It's both, yeah.
So I feel like I've spent my life learning skills for being empathic. This isn't in the way. So I want to share a lot of those skills with you today, and we'll practice them. So an empath to me is someone who gains information energetically. It's like we have that kinesthetic way of knowing turned on. And so there's a non-linear body-focused way of taking in information about someone else. And it may be that you take on their feeling. I remember sitting next to someone going, "Do you have a headache?" Yeah, like right here? Because then I do. And so that's when I know I've got to really bring my energy into myself and release everyone else's so that I'm not living somebody else's pain or emotions. It allows you to intuit other people's feelings, maybe even before they know what they're feeling. So it's really useful for therapy and healing work. And I find when I'm speaking that it helps me to get a sense of what people are, this room here, a sense of what people are feeling or what's happening in the group. Like I can tune into the tone of the group. The downside is I can be flooded with people's emotions, and it's been especially difficult with COVID. Early on, when the fear was getting so strong, I would wake up in so much fear in the morning. And I learned to say, is this my fear? No, it's not. And to release it and to go into prayer and bring my energy in close so I'm not merging with the energies of others. And then since the Roe versus Wade ridiculousness last week, I've been waking up so depressed. And through the day, I just feel waves of depression and waves of anger and waves of sadness. And again, the question is, how many feel that? Yeah? The question is this mine? And if not, to release it, to bring your energy in, to fill with your own light, so that you're not running the energy of the collective. I want to pray for the collective, but I don't need to heal them through my body and through my energy field. So I had a therapist once who said to me, I think for the rest of your life, you will need to ground 6 times a day. And that's about it. I need to ground. So feel your grounding. And because we change so fast, you might release your old grounding, send some new roots into the earth. And we want to learn to be able to do that even while we're talking, even while we're walking, to just keep that sense of roots, that sense of unconnected to the earth. In ancient times in the temples or in indigenous tribes, the truly sensitive people would be seen as extraordinary gifts to the tribe. And the elders would invite you into the temple or into the kiva and say, we want to teach you how to use these skills, because they become the oracles, they become the prophetesses for the tribe. And for most of us, it's seen as you're too sensitive. So I know in my family, it's like nobody else was feeling their feelings, so I was. Yeah. See some identification with that. And then the one who's sensitive gets blamed. So I have a little image of this. So if this is two people, and this is all the feelings in the situation, and if everybody's feeling their feelings, then there are times that you're not in the emotion, sometimes you are. But if this person doesn't feel theirs, it all goes over here. And so it's like you're the steam valve for the family. Oh, I identify with that.
Not funny.
Not funny. No, not fun.
More fun.
Yeah. And then it's, what's wrong with you? Why are you so emotional? So, you know, I appreciate it. I've spent my entire life learning how to be more sensitive. And that's the good news. And the not good news is I become more and more sensitive. More sensitive to foods. There's more and more things that I need to stay away from. More sensitive to energies. So we want to really develop these capacities to take care of ourselves and to learn the kind of energetic boundaries that we were not taught, or very few of us were taught. And what I like to work with is becoming sovereign in my field, not shielded. So some of us think, how can I get bigger shields? But that's a mentality of fighting the energy. And as long as you're fighting it or defending against it, you're giving it power. So it's, how do I become sovereign in my field so that the field is simply mine? And I think meditation is one of the best ways to do that, to add that to your self-care. So let's take a moment and develop some sovereignty in our field, shall we? So take a breath, allow yourself to center, allow your light, that essence of your being, to spiral down your core and fill your core, as if you could let your light be like the downward spiraling serpent that's encompassing the chakras and bringing you in. So with each in-breath, your light spirals down your core and you follow it in and take up residence in your chakras. Breathing out, letting go, releasing all that is not yours into the earth. And if you've created those new grounding, those new roots, or if you do now, imagine that the roots literally pull energies out, like the earth is like drawing the energies out. I like to send my roots into the veins of tourmaline, which has these striations, these upward standing striations. And then the roots just sink into those striations and anchor me there. And that allows that crystalline energy to draw out of me whatever I do not want. So you might try tourmaline or some other crystalline structure. Breathing in, letting your light spiral down your center. The DNA is all spirals, so our body really loves that sense of spiraling. Let it fill you. Breathing out, emptying all that is not you. Receiving more and more of your own essence. Are you having challenging hearing me out there? Okay, we'll try this. So breathing in, as you embrace your core, it becomes magnetic. So imagine that as you're filling your core with your own essence, it magnetizes your energies in and it repels everyone else, just like a magnet. So all that is not your energy is sent out to other people, and all that is you flows into you. And and take up residence in your core. You can imagine calling up that beautiful crystalline energy from the earth. Let it spiral up your core, upward spiraling serpent, flowing up, filling your core. And then allowing that earth energy to flow all through your body. So the grounding begins to touch your cells as well. And then calling in from your being, or I like to call it in from Goddess Aphrodite, she loves doing this, a sparkling iridescent waterfall of liquid light. And let it wash through you, and let it be really cooling and cleansing. Waterfall of liquid light, washing through every cell, washing away everyone else's energy, washing away all that's gone before. And imagine that as you're cleansing, that gives room for your subtle bodies to come nestle around your physical. And you can ask your guides and angels to assist you with that, bringing in your subtle bodies and asking them to help each one nestle around the others. So they're like those Russian dolls that stack inside each other, each energetic field inside the next one, creating a stronger sovereign field all around you. And then calling in more of your light, the essence of your being. Let it flow down your center and radiate out through your body. And let it take up residence in the field closest to your body. So your light is filling you and the 4-inch layer of your aura with sparkling iridescent light of your being. Feel it in front, to the sides, behind. And with each breath, allow that 4-inch layer to get stronger, more full of light. As if you're encompassed in radiant light. And notice how that feels. And then maybe a hand over your heart and one over your dantian, just below the navel, and bless yourself. Its hand position is also a good way to bring yourself back, to really feel you. And there's something about the hand over the dantian, below the navel, that's very soothing to the inner child. And so just bless yourself, bring yourself in. This is my home, I get to live here. And breathe. So how does that feel? You want to say a moment about how you feel with that? What do you notice?
It feels nurturing.
Nurturing. Mm-hmm.
Grounding.
Grounding, yeah.
Peace.
Peaceful? Yeah. Centering. Mm-hmm. So when I notice I'm taking on energy, or I notice an intense feeling that I don't know where it's coming from, this is what I do. I just ask my guide to help me fill my 4-inch layer with light, and fill myself up with me and come inside. Because I think we tend to spend a lot of time not really in ourselves.
Question.
Yes.
Is it okay to throw out a question?
Mm-hmm.
So when you say I ask my guide, I would like to know more about that, about our guides. Do we all have them? Do we need to, how do we access them?
Everyone has guides, I believe. And I actually think before we came into this life that we probably had a little coffee class with our guides and said, look, I'm going into a third dimensional life and they're really challenging. You're going to be there, aren't you? And they always say yes. So it's a matter of inviting the highest, most radiant beings of light to come work with you. And always specify the highest, most radiant beings. Every time I work with guides, I use an invocation. Or if I feel someone talking to me, I'll ask them to show me their light. Because there's astral beings who would love to play with you, and they're not who I want to work with. There is a 20-minute meditation on my website that is called Collaborating with Spirit. It's all about how to start working with your guides. Yeah, it is so worthy. I feel what the guides often will say through me. I channel the Council of 12, which is an ancient council of radiant beings of light, ascended masters and goddesses. And they'll say, we love helping people, but you have to ask. We don't need to run your life. We don't care about outcomes for your life, but we're here for your empowerment. And so if you ask, we're happy to be there. We're happy to do whatever you can, and the more specific you are, the better. They go like, yeah, now we can really do something. And I can just feel them sometimes going, we can take that person's prayer and that person's prayer and put them together. And then you get serendipity happening. And so it encourages magic and serendipity. Yes. You're welcome. So I've been an empath all my life, and I think many of us have, and I think it often develops from trauma in childhood. It comes from that place where parents aren't handling things and the child tries to parent the parent in order to get their needs met, or where there's incest or violence. And the way I understand it is that our young selves will try to figure it out, and so we go out and feel into people's energy field to see where the next danger is coming from. And so what we've learned then is to go see what's going on over there all the time. And that's part of how we end up in people's pain and turmoil. So a lot of what I'm helping people learn is how to stay inside themselves. That ever vigilance, I want to really praise it. I want to help those kids inside, because it's always our younger selves. Really know, good job, you did great, we needed that at the time. And now I need you to stay in and let me run things from an adult perspective. And a lot of times that inner child work is part of what helps to release the tendency to be engaged in other people's turmoil. You know, when you think about it, if no one's ever respected your sovereignty, how would you have it? Where would you learn this? And most of us had to learn instead how to merge, because if we took care of the adults, maybe they'd get around to taking care of us. Or maybe we'd know when to hide. For me, I needed to learn how to get invisible, how to hide my light. Because one of my perpetrators would say, I had 5 perpetrators, so I had a lot of good lessons in this. And one of them would say, "You're too cute. I can't help myself." So I try not to be cute. I try not to be pretty. I try not to be funny. To hide myself. But it's all about the other person. And then as an adult, what we get to learn is that if we're really in ourselves and in our power, we can offer the most to anyone else, but from in here. That saying people have about, "My heart goes out to you," I'd say, no, 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 no. Don't send your heart out to someone. I sit here in my heart and hold love for you. Oh, good. That's really good. Yeah. So you stay inside and allow yourself to beam love to someone, because then you're self-generating in that. If you give yourself away, if you send your heart out and send your love out, before long you're empty. So they may have less pain, but there's no less pain on the planet. It's not really helping anything. But when you become a generator of love, and you fill your heart and you let it flow through you, then there's more for everyone. Even this morning, Joseph, in his beautiful meditation, was having everyone expand their auric field to include everyone else, and I went, no. No, thank you. I don't want my auric field as big as this tent. And so I kept my field around me and just brought love to the whole auric field. So I was letting the Spirit bring love to everyone without merging with everyone. And what I notice is people don't tend to unmerge when they do that. So I had a lover that we would get together for the weekend and we'd get so merged. It was so fabulous. And then we'd go back on Monday and we couldn't do anything but write poetry to each other because we were so merged. So what we learned to do before we left the weekend was to take time to just give each other our energy back. And her little kid would be right here, and I'd go, "And then I give you your little girl." And we would give each other our energies back and unmerge. We were up at a river house on most of these weekends, and our auras would be so big. So we learned on the way back to the city, about every 30, 40 miles, aura check, we'd bring it in a bit.
Oh, wow.
Aura check, we'd bring it in a bit. Really good thing to do when you leave here. Aura check, and we kept bringing it in. And then when I drove through Chinatown in San Francisco, which is so dense in terms of how many people, I would have to get it really condensed, or I would feel like all these people were walking through my field. So this is care and keeping of your auric field and your energetic body. And the more that you do that, the more you really can be a resource to other people, but also to yourself. What I find is, I do this little energy dance. Let's see if I can do it around this. So if this is two people, and this one really wants to give to the other person, and they give their energy, it feels fine as long as that person's receiving it. But if you notice, this person has left their center, and they've actually made this person responsible for it. Because if this person, if it gets too much and they turn, what happens? Yeah. And so this one feels abandoned. You keep abandoning me. But when were they actually abandoned?
In themselves.
Yeah. When they left themselves. And so I think that's what many of us have learned to do. I had a beautiful woman come into therapy, and she was just bright-eyed and so present. And then I realized she was so present. And I talked to her about it, and I said, "I love how present you are, and I feel like you're clear over here. So what is that about?" And it's like, "Well, I want to be sure you feel me. I want to be sure you know I care." And I was like, "Well, I know you care, but are you there? Are you over there?" And she kind of got it. So then I did the opposite. I said, "Can I show you what I see?" And I only do this briefly to people because I don't like it, but so then I just totally projected into her field, and she was like, oh, is that what I'm doing? So it was an attempt to love, but it's actually invasive of the other field. And she said, now I get why people find them too much. People just feel like, I don't know, they back up from me because you're filling their field with your energy. And so it's really learning to come from inside yourself rather than giving so much. I had another partner that he would totally fill the space between us. And I would say, you know, you're so filling this space that all I can do is back up. And if you want to feel an exchange with me, I need you to just come part way and let me come part way, so that we both get to play in that space between us. One of my ways of filling my field, and I like to do it before I speak, and let's all just do that. Imagine your transpersonal chakra has this big sphere of light right above your head, and you can reach into it and spread that light around your auric field. Spread it all around. You want to do that? Like just do your inner field since we're sitting close. Just spread your light around your field and smooth it out in front. Bring in more and smooth it out and back. So we've always got this resource right here. Just bring it down, fill your back.
Is that the 8th chakra?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actually, there's one system that makes the 8th chakra beneath your feet, and it's an infinity symbol beneath your body. That makes this the 9th chakra. And I love it because you bring your light in and then you bring it down and around and up through each of the chakras. So it's really filling the field as well as the chakras. So I often find another way to really get sovereign is toning. I love the bija mantras. They are toned through each of the chakras, the seed syllables of the chakras. And any toning, when you do long out breaths, with sound especially, you balance the parasympathetic nervous system. So with complex trauma, like this childhood trauma we're speaking about, there's meant to be a break on the vagus nerve. It's the longest nerve in the body. It goes from the cranium all the way to every organ in the body, and especially to the whole digestive system. And it's supposed to have a brake on it, so when there's stress, it releases the brake to handle the stress, and then it puts it back on and brings you out of stress response. When there's complex PTSD, you lose the brake. And so you're always in stress response. And so the way to get the brake back operating and get out of stress response is long breaths, long out breaths. So we're going to take a long out breath and then tone, moving all the way in and coming out with a sound. Any sound will do. Extending that sound as long as possible. If you want to put your middle fingers right on your mastoid bone behind the ears, and then just wrap your hands around your throat, and now long out breaths and sound that balances it even more. It can even be, as I say, any sound can do it, can be the wild tongue. So it goes something like this. Big breath. And then you laugh, which is long out breaths. Laughing works. Gargling works. Anything that is sound and long breath will help to balance it. So what tends to happen in the stress response is just in-breath. So that's the sympathetic nervous system, which is fight, flight, freeze, or appease. And I love that they've added appease. That's what a lot of us had to learn to do as children, was just appease. But we stay in the stress response. What can I do to make this better, because I don't want to get hurt again? And the parasympathetic nervous system is rest, digest, renew, and regenerate. So if you don't get out of the stress response, if everything is just keeping you in that panic breathing, there's no time to digest what's happening. And also so often, and this is what I feel happens a lot with incest or violence in a family, is no one will talk about it. You can't tell anyone. Most of the perpetrators say, "Don't you dare tell anyone." My dad said, "I'll kill your mother." And so you don't talk about it. But talking about it is how you break it down into what actually happened and get to file it away. Otherwise, those experiences stay like kind of this glom in the middle of your psyche that's unprocessed. And when we say people get triggered, it's because something else happens that fires that unprocessed glom. And if that's not processed, it gets added to it. And so part of the beauty of therapy is to process that out, get it filed away. But I also find the Council of 12 and I have developed this soul retrieval process because we find we can clear memories really quickly with it. To locate the scene that just stays in your consciousness. And what that indicates is a part of your psyche is caught in time. It's still back there. And it's still like nothing has moved on. Because when something's shocking, the child just goes, oh. And a part of the psyche, a part of the soul essence can get caught in time. So we figure out the scene, the adult gets really centered, we have them go with Divine Mother, step into the scene, go love up the child, let her or him know, I love you, you're precious to me, I'm the adult you've grown up into, and encourage them to come into current time. And then when they would get their permission, always with permission, because they've already had too many things done to them, when we get their permission, we ask Divine Mother to bring them all the way through space and time, all the way through space and time, into the heart chakra, and ask the angels to make the perfect child's room in the heart for them, and sometimes an angel shower, and kid's bed, whatever helps them feel present, and then a big rocking seat for Divine Mother. And anytime you want, call Divine Mother, she loves to hold us. And so we have the adult and the child get into Divine Mother's lap and breathe in her love and breathe out the pain. And breathe in her love and breathe out the pain. And that can really transmute the memories. It's amazing how quickly it shifts the memories by getting that person, that part of the soul essence in current time. And also we find, so often we find that someone will say, well, I'm sabotaging myself, or some part of me doesn't want to let me do this. Well, that's often a child that developed a coping mechanism And if you help them, love them up, and help them know that you don't need them to do that now, and bring them into current time, they're willing to let the adult nurture them and protect them. And then you get to have more adult functioning. I can go in 100 directions at once. That was it. But it's amazing how that makes a difference. There is another meditation on my website, which is evalenarose.com. It's just my name. That it's a free meditation when you sign up on the homepage. It works with clearing every chakra, and it works with the colors of the chakras and the qualities of each chakra. And then when you've got them all cleared and you're bringing in this light washing through each one, then we do this other thing I really love that helps you be sovereign. So imagine right now that you bring in your light, and imagine you have a pen that writes gold and white light, and you write your name all over your body, over every cell, every muscle, every organ of your body. Write your name, or maybe it's a paintbrush, you paint your color all over your body, and make it yours. Another beautiful way to reclaim the body. And just notice if there's a place it's hard to write your name, and there's always angels available. You can ask any angels to clear that place. Ask your guides, please clear that. I'm having a hard time getting my name on my back or the back of my heart. Clear my heart. Making room for you to make your body your own. I often find, especially people who've been abused or misused as children, when they come to therapy, I often find we need to pull the perpetrators out of their body. Sometimes the first session is just getting everybody else out so they can get in. And the perpetrators will be in, the parents will be in the body. I'll find if a parent has mental illness, there'll often be really difficult cords in the back that are kind of like grappling hooks. And so getting all those out of the body, getting everyone else in, also helps you be sovereign in your body. Because as long as you're carrying others, it's really challenging to be in your own field and to make your body your own. And so I'll say to someone, let your body be a private home. It's not a boarding house. And a lot of people grew up with their body as boarding houses. Who else can I take care of? So somebody will take care of me. So, I think the other way that we take on energy is just trying too hard. We imagine that if we just love harder, if we give more, that it's better. But if you stay in your heart and love from your center, it's way easier than we make it. And I've heard that so often in therapy. Wow, this is so much simpler than I've been doing it. Just to trust that your being already knows how to love. And if you're in your center and you're connected to your being, you'll know how to do it. Let it be easier. I once was in a meditation Buddhist meditation, where the invitation was to think of a really difficult situation and then have Buddha or Kuan Yin or Christ or whoever you related to come and knock on the door, and you step out for a moment, and they ask for your bodysuit. So they step into your bodysuit, they go into the situation as you, and you got to watch how they handled it. So I had Kuan Yin come. I was working with a survivor of ritual abuse. And I got to see how she would deal with the situations that were so challenging for me. And then they come out and they give you back your bodysuit and give you a message. And her message was, touch the pain, be the love. Touch the pain, be the love. So when you're working with someone or you're loving someone who's in pain, rather than absorbing the pain, you touch it, that gives you the information, and then you come in and call in light, call in spirit, be the love. I go into more of my transpersonal self where I can really just access universal love and let it do the work through me. And it's made a total difference. I've had people who've said, I love working with people, but I just can't do it anymore because I'm in so much pain every time I work on somebody. Well, that's because you're merging with them. So before I go into a session, especially if I know it might be one of those difficult ones, I want to really bring in my transpersonal light, fill my energetic field with light like we did, and ground and center, so that I can touch the pain but be the love. I can bring the resolution rather than join the problem. There's a couple other things. If you feel energies being directed at you, I like to ask Archangel Michael to lay down a wall of blue flame. He's got this blue flaming sword. Archangel Michael, will you lay down a wall of blue flame between us? Or he might ask an archangel to stand between us and just absorb the energy, be a shield, or ask his shield between us. You got a lot of help from spirit, you might as well use it. If someone's offering a hug and I feel it'd probably be more difficult to refuse than to allow, I'll say, Divine Mother, will you stand between us and receive this hug from me? And then I don't even feel it. Yeah. Most of the time I love the hugs, but when I don't want the energy of a person, I just let Divine Mother absorb the hug. Yeah. There's also a meditation for really intense field, if you want, of Archangel Michael using the sword and laying a whole sphere of blue flame around you. It's called the blue flaming sword. And if I'm working with someone who's got, like maybe they're from ritual abuse, or feel they've got some demonic energy in their field, then I'll work with that field of blue flaming sword and nothing comes through that. Afterwards, if I feel I've taken something on, I like to use smudge. Cedar and sage can work, but my favorite is incense by Fred Souls, S-O-L-L. That is frankincense and myrrh, and it's actual resin on a stick. It is so good. By Fred Souls. So frankincense and myrrh will clear almost anything. If it feels like that's not clearing, then copal will clear more demonic energies. And copal you can also get from Fred Souls on a stick, or you can get the resin to put on a burning thing. When I was first learning healing with Rosalind Bruyere, she taught that you can ground the energy, so you touch the person and you ground the energy through you. I think that is not a good idea. So I've learned more that I can let my hands be in the energy field, but I'm not in the field. And I can feel the light coming through and grounding it through the field. So when I look at Barbara Brennan's images in Hands of Light, what she shows is an image of the person sitting at the head of the table, and a guide behind them, and a guide over here, and guides around the table. And when I'm working with intense energies, that's what I call for. I call for a sphere of guides to work with me. And so I feel they're bringing the energy out, and my hands are just serving them. If the energy is really dense, then I have been known to step back from the table and ask them to put on a wetsuit of light, or like a surgical gown of light. I just put my arms through this gown of light that closes behind me, and I may even put on gloves of light. So again, I'm just not taking anything in, but I'm still serving the energies that are coming in for healing. I have a friend who noticed early on when I was working that she felt like, especially when I was doing distant healing with people like Zoom or phone, that I was using my body to kind of figure out what to happen. And she said, no, go put them on a mountain nearby and work on them there. And that makes a difference, to see them outside you rather than bring in your light, because now you're calling it into yourself, but see it over there happening. Let your guides do the work. So I'm curious, I'd love to hear from you. If you feel you are taking on anyone's energy, how do you feel it? How does it show up? How do you know?
When somebody gets hurt and they get cut, I don't even need to think about it. I just feel it. And I'm like, and I used to resist until a woman shared with me. I used to resist feeling so much. And she's like, well, you could have it. It could be where you're one of those people that you don't feel at all. So that actually helped me embrace as far as feeling. However, I still, whether I could see it in a movie or a video, or somebody could tell me something that they're actually hurting, and I still, right now what I do is just tell myself that's theirs. I'm letting them have it. But is there anything else to do with that, as far as like, or what you found, or?
I find it often helps to just move it out of my chakras. And I can do it subtly, but to bring me in and move them out and go, that's not me, this is me, that's not me. I'm not used to working with, this is me. So, yeah, the separation.
Got it, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. So I've experienced in the past where I'll take on emotions or anxiety and have maybe a challenge discerning that it's thinking that it's mine,
Mm-hmm.
and not really understanding, like, why am I feeling anxious? So is there any way to really, I don't know, check or discern if it's yours or someone else's?
I'll often ask, whose anxiety is this? Or I'll ask, is this mine? And then I might say to my guides, if this isn't mine, please clear it. Or I might bring through that waterfall of light. If that washes it away, it's not mine. Or write my name all over the body. It's not mine. Yeah. Very often if I ask, I'll get a sense of, it's not me. And then you just release it. There's a way to do just Shall we do that? Two.
Off of me.
Well, when I finish a channeling, I've learned at the end of channeling, I also always do like a closing, and very often people have their eyes closed, which is nice because what I'm doing is this: I'm going down through the chakras, I'm giving their energy back or transmuting them, and bringing my energy around me, pouring myself in. We'll do it at the end of the workshop. I do that at the end of every workshop with people, and especially on Zoom. It's really fascinating to me. I think we merge more on Zoom than we do in person. Because here you have a sense of you're in your own space, you're more separate, but there everybody's right here, like you're very close face to face and you're in their rooms. And so it seems really important with Zoom to take time to emerge. Yeah. Yes.
I learned to do a really heavy duty, it's called Badass Light, it's Ho'oponopono clearing. I do that pretty much every day. And sometimes, even when I do that really intense clearing, things still get in, or there's psychic attack, or there's either poured in, or I'm taking other people's stuff. Not always, but, and I'm kind of like, God, if I didn't do it, I'd probably be a mess, but. So any advice on, like, really how not to let anything in?
Well, I don't know that we can not let anything in.
Right.
I think it is learning how to release it as quickly as possible. And early on in our class, I think maybe before you came, that's fine, we did a process of bringing our light in, making a really strong inner field. So washing through with a waterfall of light is a good way to let it go. I've got that permanently installed in my shower. So when I take a shower, I shower with light. I had a friend who visited me and went, wow, it's amazing showering in your shower. I think, yeah, the secret is to keep filling your own field with your light and keep bringing yourself back in. The more you center this meditation we just did of letting your light spiral down your core, that really helps you become resident in your core. And one of the ways to take on less is to fill up with you, so there's no vacancy. I had a friend who was a New Age comedian, and she said, the problem with astral traveling is your body might be sublet. And I found that would happen a lot, that I felt my body was being sublet. And I would have to clear out other people and entities and so on. So grounding 6 times a day and really coming in, really filling with you, is one of the best ways to keep from taking on other people. So it's being resident.
Thank you, because I think what happens is, I think, oh, I've done it for the morning, it's done, and it should be done, but shit happens constantly.
It needs to be happening all through the day.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And breathing deeply.
I've been using this method for many years where in the shower I always, everyone has its own prayer, but in the name of Ultimate Creator, the purest form of energy, the source of all that is, I bless the water, I cleanse my mental body, emotional body, physical body, and it works like being a very sensitive empath, I've always felt a lot of anxiety and things. And for me, like having a very strong emotional body, my mission is to transcend it. It's to feel the emotion without really getting shaken. So I feel the anxiety and I don't let it really affect me. Like, okay, I can feel it in my chest, I can feel it here in my throat, but I breathe into it through equanimity. We can transcend it all. So that's why meditation is extremely important. And equanimity is purity. And when we are equanimous, nothing can touch us.
Beautiful. For 2 years, I'm a 4 on the Enneagram, and I heard that equanimity was the balance point for a 4. And so for 2 years, I took it as a koan. What's equanimity? What's equanimity here? Because as I have equanimity, I'm not available to be thrown off. Yeah, beautiful. I also find essential oils can be really useful. And if you pass that around, if you want to be on my email list, I have a list of essential oils for empaths that I meant to bring and didn't. But this is my favorite. This is Upright Clarity, and it's by Stargazer Lee, who makes her essential oils under certain astrological influences. So it's got planetary influences as well as the oils. And if you'd like, I'll pass it around and just spray it a little above your head. See how it feels. Does anyone have allergies to essential oils that this would bother?
I would just look at the oils and does it say the ingredients? I can be around it, I just won't spray it.
Okay, it's distilled water, clove, cinnamon, eucalyptus, lemon, and rosemary with planetary essences of Saturn, slipper, Mars, mead, and Mercury, mimosa.
Fine, yeah.
Okay. I love this. I buy 3 bottles at a time because if I come out of a session and feel off and I spray this, it will almost always clear me and get me back. I also use selenite. I have a big selenite in my chair.
Just wanted to do a time check. It's 2.
Don't I have till
2:30.
I have till 2:30?
That's on my schedule piece too, but I'm good with that. 2:30.
Yeah, it says 2:30.
It says 2:30 on here.
All right. I was handed a different sheet of paper.
Oh.
All right. Keep going. Thanks for indulging my interruptions.
Oh, of course. So selenite is a really good energy. You can use it to just clear your field, wear it on your body. I have it in my chair. I think it helps to transmute energies. You can see I work on this all the time. And another one is I can ask, any of us can ask, 3 angels to stand in my path. So if I really feel like I've taken something on, I'll have an angel in front of me and I'll walk through their wings and they clear me. And then another and I walk through their wings. And another and I walk through their wings. And that makes a big difference. I think that the more we up-level our energies, meditation is very important. And if you work with bringing in your light body, the light body doesn't take on the energies. And for me, if I can just activate my light body, it's always there. It's me paying attention. There's also a meditation on the website about activating your light body. I'm going to send this around. These are the cards of my channeling. I have once a month that I do channeling afternoon. It's got my website on it. So love to have you come if you're around Asheville. And I also do one online if you're not around Asheville. Yeah. So I just feel we need to really do some care and keeping of the chakras too. To go through every now and then and clear cords, because people do cord you. Anytime I'm speaking, when I get done like a big conference or workshop, I'll almost always have cords in the back of my heart. And it's not a negative, it's just people really love what I'm offering and they want what I want or want the love I have. And so to just keep cleansing and clearing, and you know, we change the oil in a car, and I think it's kind of like that we need to periodically cleanse our chakras. So what else happens when you feel you've taken on energy? Do you feel it like a headache, a buzzing?
I like
and
stop breathing, kind
You
of.
stop breathing?
Yeah, like I just become very shallow. I just kind of leave a
Mm-hmm.
little bit,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's not always very obvious. It can be very subtle, and so that's why like it's so lovely to hear about the clearing and the grounding. Because I have not been doing enough of that, but it's very helpful. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I feel zapped sometimes. Like sometimes when I'm like going. The other day I went to the post office. I had to go to two of my banks, the drugstore, and the grocery store. And when I got home, I was just like, I wanted to go to ecstatic dance. It was Tuesday. I'm like, I don't have energy to even go to dance. I'm zapped.
Yeah.
I like zapped. All the.
That's where that spray is really helpful. Or to run your energy, or to do the toning.
Some of these frequencies out there are just shorting me out.
It feels consideringly more intense. I don't know if all of
Intense.
you are feeling that. It's feeling more intense to me.
How many feel that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it amped up last week
Mhm.
with this Roe versus Wade thing. It has been really hard. I just feel like, oh, it's so depressed. Oh, wait a minute. The world's depressed. I hear that women have canceled Independence Day.
I get in a funk, like, and I don't feel like myself. Like I feel like I'm almost been hijacked.
Exactly.
I'm like, where am I? I'm not here anymore. Like, what is going on? And it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
I sometimes ask, is it mine? But I forget that a lot. And when I ask if it's mine, if the energy kind of gets a little bit lighter, then I know it's not mine. And I say send back to sender or release it or whatever. But sometimes it is me, and I got to work with that.
Yeah. That's how I kind of play. Like, I just feel like whatever energy it is, it's part of me in the oneness. And some are really easy to appreciate, and some parts of me are less easy to appreciate. And then I just like, whatever it is, I just like breathe it in, and I work to love it, and I move it right to my heart. And kind of like what you're talking about, like alchemizing it. And like bringing all of that energy, what's hard to appreciate in the human, and offering it to Mother Earth, the light, the stars. That's how I've been, but I have been feeling it rapid. It's like, whew, another one. But someone said that was maybe one of my spiritual gifts in case other people are doing that work. So I think some of us are doing that and not knowing it. That's just why we're here. So that helps.
I agree, and I don't completely that I do feel that we can help transmute it for the planet. And when people say, I'm grieving for the earth, part of me wants to go, can you let the universe help you with that? You know, Kuan Yin's role is to absorb suffering. She's a bodhisattva. She's done. She could merge into the divine, but she stays available to help absorb suffering. So when you're feeling it for the collective, I want to really invite Kuan Yin to absorb the suffering, or Divine Mother to hold me, or do it with me, so that we're not joining the suffering. We're bringing resources to the suffering.
Yeah, for me it's like in seconds.
Yeah.
Because I think of that connection with the divine and love. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm done. I like living in my heaven on earth.
Yeah.
And my joy.
Me too.
That's really a good point you bring up, like the way I see it is like being a codependent, or like giving yourself, and do we really need to sacrifice ourselves, or you know, who are we to step in to try to, or to do, not try to do something that maybe that it isn't ours to do, or that the creator or these other guides can do.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
I really want to collaborate with Spirit. I'll often do prayers for the earth. If I listen to news, which I try not to very often, and I hear something, school shooting or something, I'll go, no. On behalf of all humanity, I want this transmuted. I want to go there rather than suffer. I ask that whatever has created violence as our coping mechanism on this planet be shifted now. We are ready to be done with war. We're ready to be done with violence. So come on, Spirit. I am giving you permission on behalf of all humanity, all womanity, to transmute this need for violence. So I want to go to solution more and more. I get pretty insistent with Spirit. They like it. So often the religions so many of us were raised in were begging God, like, oh, I'm such a sinner, please save me. And I'm pretty sure the divine goes, you're not a sinner to me, and you don't need saved, and I created you perfect. Can you ask for something I can collaborate with? And so I think it's really working with Spirit and knowing that when we ask for support, it always comes. And then if you can't feel it, ask to be helped to feel it.
Yeah, like what's my lesson rather than save me?
Yes,
What do I need
exactly.
to learn from this?
Exactly, yeah. Yes, you had a question?
I just want to thank you for reminding me to ask for help, because every morning it seems like when I get up, I have it's like this empty feeling and almost depressed, and it's only in the morning. It's never at any other time of the day. And I never think about asking for help, or, I just think, what's wrong with me or something, like, do I need to find a therapist that I'm feeling this way? And maybe I'm just feeling the collective unconscious, but thank you for, all of your ideas here about how to deal with this.
I imagine you are feeling the collective unconscious, especially now. And a couple things. One is I often will ask angels to surround me before I go to sleep and hold me in light, so I take on less. And the other is when I wake up, I've gotten to where one of my first thoughts is opening to my light body, because it will transmute whatever's there, to open to my light body and let it transmute the energies. Otherwise I'll wake up in the collective pain. And it's become a signal for prayer. It's become a signal to bring light to whatever's happening on the planet. Doesn't mean I don't ever go through what's wrong with me, but I try to really tune in and go, is this mine? And it very often isn't.
What I'm really taking away from today on different talks is discernment. On checking in to discern, like what you're taught right there, and then even over there, it's like, what is mine to do or say, or what is to discern how to go about it, or to really rely on myself or ourselves and trust that, and that navigational beacon of like, where to go from here, versus maybe jumping into action, which could be out of the identity or the ego or in the past,
Yeah. As you speak, what I'm aware of is the balance of the masculine and feminine in each of us. And the masculine in each of us wants to jump into action. The feminine wants to get receptive and feel into what's needed. I love the image in the weight deck for the lovers as an image of super consciousness and the feminine and the masculine, and they both have these chains around their neck, but they're so loose they could take them off if they wanted. And the feminine is looking to super consciousness, and the masculine is looking to the feminine. And so I think the part of us that wants to jump into action needs to tune in to the part of us that's linking to spirit and linking to our own source within, to be guided by that. And to take that time to stop and breathe. Take those breaths, get out of the stress response, get into that parasympathetic, rest, digest, renew, regenerate. So now your action's coming from the centered place. And often way less is needed when you come from that place. It's grounded in what's most important. Yeah, good point. Anything else? Yes.
I think this weird thing happens that if I say something like really good is happening to me to a friend, like, wow, my back feels like 60% better, and I met this person that really helped me, and blah, blah. And then all this, like within 2 hours, that good work that has been going on for like 3 weeks or even a month, all of a sudden all shifts and changes and I'm back into being. Or, I mean, it happens over and over and over and over and over again. And what is that?
It's been called a change back mechanism. My suspicion is that you have some younger parts of you who think their job is to keep you the way you've been. So what often happens when we're in a family where we're being heard or we've been heard is that some part of us learns to just stay down. Don't get too bright, don't get feeling too good because you're going to get knocked down again. And so it has this kind of regulator that takes you back to where you've been. And so the remedy is to talk to that part, to really have a conversation. And I always want to approach these parts with a lot of respect and go, wow, you are so good. Look at how fast you changed that back. Wow, I must have given you a job to change things back, and you got really, really good at it. Thank you. I'm sure that was really important when I was young. And guess what? I don't need that anymore. And I could actually let you be a child now, and I can take care of it because I have discernment. I'll figure out what's needed, and I want my back to feel good. And so it's like those protector cells, they don't always pay attention to what's going on in the world. They just notice that that balance they're supposed to keep is off. And so they want to restore balance. And you want to get their attention somehow with love. And often give them a different job. Or if they're young, the most important job for your young parts is to learn how to play. A lot of us never learned how to play. So I do that quite a bit in the therapy work and the channeling of supporting people in finding those parts that are doing the change back or recreating the old balance and helping them realize that they can shift it now and that they can let the adult run things. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. I worked with Alan Hardman for a while, and he would say that we have this innocent part, which is often the inner feminine, and then these protector parts, which is often the inner masculine. And they notice when this innocent part gets scared and they do the protection, but they don't look around to see if it's needed. And so you just need to help them see that it's a different world now. And I've got a lot of skills I didn't have then. Okay. Anything else? What's the biggest change that you want to make in your world from what you've learned here today?
To occupy myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
To fully occupy myself.
Fully occupy yourself. Yeah. That is so powerful.
Likewise, because it's actually perfect because as of recently I've been noticing different things at different times when I'm with certain individuals, dear sisters of mine. It's very easy because of all of our natures to merge. And I've been noticing this reflex in me recently where I'm like, I need to step away from this. It's even to a point where everyone's voices start sounding the same. And they were like, oh, it's all just because we're like one and this and that. And it just like, there's been this thing inside of me that's telling me, no, like maintain your own frequency. And it's for the first time in my life as a very extroverted being, I'm in this like very hermity mode, just like really pulling back and reclaiming a lot. And it's new for me I'm just really, all these deeper levels of codependency are being revealed to me as an empath, as someone who can psychically merge and see deeply into things, the deeper levels of codependency that I've had throughout my life. And yeah, it's just, it's very affirming to be in here, to hear you, because like there's so much being said in the spiritual circles too, and so like even the eye gazing, like a lot of people coming into spirituality, they're like, everyone's like, okay, eye gaze. I'm like, I don't want to eye gaze with you. Right. And I think that just letting people know that it's okay, that you don't have to merge like that to be spiritual, or you don't have to merge like that to, because I feel like, yeah, there's a lot of different things working through those channels that aren't necessarily inherently like good. That like I just realized how much I did not see myself and my energy as gold, so I literally just like was in dynamics where people actually like relied on me not seeing myself because I didn't even see how I was being siphoned or I was being this and that, you know. So that's all just really coming back to me right now, like super hardcore. And so I appreciate being in the space with you because yeah, it's just a reaffirming of what you said. It's just, it's okay. Trust your field. Like, be in it. Yeah. But don't take it on, and don't let other people try and sway you. Right. Too, because I feel like a lot of times I feel like there's a lot of swaying trying to be had. Manipulating. Yeah, manipulating, and it's just like, it's the first time in my life where I'm really actually implementing boundaries in a way that I've never implemented them before. So it's very new and exciting, but like also. Just, yeah, new. It's new. New, exciting, and challenging. Yeah. Because when you begin doing boundaries with people where you haven't, where you've been very codependent, it always looks like you're the bad guy. And the reason for that is the codependent triangle is victim, persecutor, rescuer. And the only way out is persecutor. Oh, I see. Because you can't stop being codependent when you're a victim. You don't have any power. And you can't when you're a rescuer because you've got a job to do. And so it always looks like you're the persecutor. And so when you stop being codependent, you've got to have a little bit of a willingness to let people see you as not caring anymore. Because you don't care in the same way.
I want to say something to that, to add to that. I've been also grappling with that in life, and something that was taught to me or shared and is when we're setting boundaries, to set up a conversation. What has really helped me to set up a conversation that, hey, this is what's been going on. Is like, for example, what doesn't work, and going forward, this is how it's going to look. So kind of like it's like setting up a conversation and a boundary with them and letting them know how you're going to proceed to go forward, versus just having, like, there would be times I'd have my own realization and I would do boundaries and I would show up different, and as far as they know nothing that changed or what's going on, so they could be left with something. And also it just could let them know, like, going forward, like, you know, what to expect from me. Yeah, that's beautiful. And so since I'm speaking, I want to take on, so what I really took away from today was, I really liked the beginning, like, grounding, and then also allowing the roots, let Mother Earth take stuff through the roots, but also to be rejuvenated. So really being grounded and coming back home to myself, and That's it.
Great. You're welcome. Jacqueline.
I've learned the older I get, even though I enjoy helping people and doing for others, putting myself first and setting the boundaries. And I've had people have been telling me you look much happier, you look more calmer and relaxed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful. We have one more comment, and then I want to unmerge before people go. Okay?
Oh, I was just gonna thank you for that revelation of the only way I understood the persecutor role, because like I was in this really sweet, loving space with this person, and then I like hear this whole story of how I hurt them. I'm like, what? And I'm just like, where did this come from? And it was so emotionally disturbing this past weekend. And then it was like my intuition was trust the role of the anger that this is creating the situation. Like trust that this is actually the dynamic needed for whatever. And anyway, so I was just like, there's that revelation of like, oh, and he has to see me as a persecutor to let me go out of this.
Beautiful. So I want to honor that there's another workshop in 5 minutes, and they have no breaks between workshops. So what I'd like to do is unmerge and give you that experience, and then I'll wait outside if anybody wants to talk further. Okay? So let's all to everyone. I honor you.
I honor you.
I bless you.
I bless you.
And I release you, and start with the crown. So you give everyone theirs energy back with your right hand and bring yours in with your left. So bring yours in. And then the third eye, I release you with love. I bring myself home. And the throat, I release you with love. I bring me in. Breathe yourself in. And the heart, I release you with love, and I bring myself back. And the third, I release you with love. I bring myself home. Breathe yourself in. And the second, I release you with love. I bring myself in. And the first, I release you with love. I bring myself back. And then just wrap your energy around you, fill with your light. And bring in that light from your ape again all around your field. Sovereign field. Just me in here. Welcome home. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I did record this. If you want a copy, you can mark your name on here. But let's go outside to do that so they can